All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves. I am so freaking excited to talk to you about today's episode because we are going to do a client case study breakdown all about how our client made a total of about $660K in 6 months of working with us from a $160 skincare kit, and has basically, I don't even know how many times she X'd her income. It's crazy, but I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm going to tell you guys how we did it for her so that hopefully you guys can take some things from this and be able to implement it into your own strategies so that you see the results that you're looking for. So super, super excited to get into this, but also just really excited about just all of the wins that we've been creating for our clients in honestly the past several years, but also just in the past couple of months, because as we grow, we are helping different industries and business models and things like that. And it's, I've always talked about how our Wolf framework and our funnel really truly works for any business model and industry. And I feel like this just continues to confirm it, which is just so cool to see. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this. So let's get into it. So like I said, I wanted to talk to you guys about this because I want to also know, like, if you've ever literally woken up in the morning, turned on your phone, turned on your camera, looked at your sales, and literally realized that you hit your sales goals for the entire week in one day. Because this client, when she first came to us, she was probably making about $15,000 a month in sales from a $160 skincare kit. That's a great amount of sales, right? Like you have to sell a lot of things, a lot of volume in order to hit that number, right? But it's really cool, honestly, because we took her from however much she was making per day. I think it was like 500 or 300 or something like that, to now they have several $1,000s a day. I think they had hit, because she's now a consulting client of mine, but this is what she did when she was working with us in the accelerator. We were just talking the other day, and I think she hit like a $9,000 day the other day in sales. And if you do the math, I'm literally going to do it on my calculator right now. They sold 56 units of their skincare kit in one day. For any product-based business, that's like your dream. Like, can you even imagine selling 56 in one day? And then you keep doing that. Like, that's just freaking crazy. And part of me, like, I know the results that we can create for our clients, but when stuff like this happens, because it happens frequently, when people see results like this, I'm like, I just like do a happy dance all over again. It's just such a cool experience to be a part of and be like, yeah, we fucking did that. That's insane. So like I said, I want to dive into kind of how this client did this, how she was able to see such really incredible results in a very short period of time. Because she basically, when she started with us, they were making $15,000 a month. The next month they made $40,000. The next month they made 60. The next month they made 100. The next month, I think it was like 120, then 130, then 140 or something along those lines. It's gone up consistently. And now they typically on average make anywhere from 120 to 140K every single month. That's kind of like their sweet spot right now. And obviously, like I mentioned, we're working on kind of scaling them as a company because they've really mastered their marketing and their sales at this point. So I want to talk about kind of the context of where she started, just so you guys get a really clear picture of what was going on for her. So like I said, they own a skincare brand, and her signature product is a $160 skincare kit that really focuses on like getting rid of hyperpigmentation. And guys, when I tell you, I have seen these before and after photos, insane. So if anyone deserves these sales, it's really her, because I have seen brands that sell products like skincare products that don't work nearly as well as hers do, and they're making way more sales. So it always like really tickles my fancy when I see people who are making a difference in their industry be rewarded with sales like this. I'm like, yeah, you actually deserve it. And like I said, I want you to keep in mind the price point of her product, because it's actually insane what she's been able to do with that. So when she first came to us, I have this recollection of like having a conversation with her in the DMs. I didn't even have like a sales call with her or anything, because I don't typically do that with a lot of people. But I remember our conversation in the DMs, and I remember her telling me, we have literally poured what is the equivalent of a down payment on a home into paid ads, and I literally cannot attribute any ROI to that investment. I want you to listen to me when I say that. The down payment on a home, and by the way, they're an Australian-based brand, but here in the States, the down payment on a decent-sized home, let's say, you're looking to purchase a townhome or something, right? in California, it's freaking ridiculous. They're selling townhomes for like $1.5 million. It's absolutely insane. But that's a story for another day. Soapbox for another fucking day. But if you're looking to buy like a well-priced home, you are looking at a down payment of probably 50 grand, let's call it. 50 grand into ads. And you have no ROI to show for that. You have no money you've made back from those ads. So when she told me that, I was like, oh fuck, okay. They basically had like a bit of an organic strategy. There wasn't a lot of thought behind it. They were posting consistently, and that consistent posting really was made up of creating content around their skincare products and basically telling people what they had in their arsenal. There wasn't a ton of education. There wasn't a ton of social proof. There wasn't a lot of what makes up a proper marketing strategy. So I'm going to use the word strategy loosely. Sorry, love you mean it to the client that I'm talking about. She was getting a decent amount of engagement when they first came to us. Didn't have a massive audience on really any platforms, but was getting good engagement. But they couldn't really secure the conversions as opposed to the engagement, right? And this is a very key problem that a lot of our clients experience when they come to us is they're like, I have no problem getting my content to perform well. I don't have a problem getting it to engage well. I don't really have those problems. My problem is conversions. My problem is getting people who are like, oh my God, I love your brand, to actually buy from me. It's like, put your money where your freaking mouth is, right? And like I said, she was also taking out a lot of money on ads, didn't see any ROI, and she was ready to really stop like the pay to play cycle. She was like, I'm literally paying for something that's doing nothing for me, and I could do that for free. And wanted to make the most out of her organic marketing. And I remember having this conversation with her where she was like, I'm really skeptical because I've invested in marketing and sales before. I clearly have invested in paid ads. I've invested in all this different stuff. And I can't say that I have any ROI to prove that it worked, because it hasn't. But, you know, I've seen your content. I've seen what you can do for other people. This is like the last money I have to invest. So I really need it to work. And it was so funny because I remember telling her, because we've sent a couple of people who are unsure about working with us her way, just so she can chat with them, because she's offered to. She's like, send them my way. I'm going to have a conversation with them. And it was so funny because I remember her, and she had told one of the people that was kind of on the fence of working with us. She was like, yeah, I said that. Like, this is the last money I have to invest. And I literally made it back like 3 days later, which is wild. So we've been able to create really great results for her and very quickly. But the other reason I will tell you we've been able to create those results so quickly for her is because she is an implementer, if I have ever seen one. You tell her to do something and she's literally doing it like 2 hours later, and she would stay with it consistently. She is the hardest worker, one of the hardest workers I've ever met. She's a mom. She, has a ton of stuff going on in her life. She's one of the busiest people that I know, and yet she doesn't care. She gets it done. She figures it out. So just such an incredible mindset and work ethic as well. So, like I said, that investment that she was going to make into us, it wasn't comfortable because she'd already invested a bunch of money. But she decided that she basically couldn't afford to not do this. She was like, okay, my options are I either continue with paid advertising, which clearly isn't doing anything for me, and sink money into that and see no ROI. I try and do it on my own and see no ROI, and at least I'm not spending more money. Or I invest in organic and invest in somebody who knows how to help me with organic and potentially do see that ROI. And I remember her basically being like, well, it's either you or ads. So like, let's see what happens kind of thing. And this is something I did want to speak on just really quickly, because I think that there's a lot of business owners out there who don't have this mindset when it comes to investing. And it was really interesting because I just remember having this conversation with her and feeling like it was just like talking to myself in a mirror, because I've always had that mindset when it comes to investing is like, you can't predict the outcome of an investment, but you also can't not make an investment either. I always say investing is like taking an educated risk. It's always going to be a risk, but there are things that you can do to mitigate those risks and make sure it's as low of a risk as possible. Number one, obviously, like look into the person, Don't just take their word for it. Don't just take their marketing for it. Talk to past customers or clients, read reviews, read all of the social proof, ask for context, ask the weird questions. Like, I don't care. Someone's like, this is going to sound really offensive for me to ask this question. I'm like, no, it's not. Ask the question. Like, you need to feel sure. You need to feel like you've done everything you can possibly do. And then as soon as you make that investment, stay committed to it. Like, be pot committed. Like, go all in, implement, milk everything out of that investment. If you're learning from someone, if you're hiring somebody, I don't care what it takes, like, milk everything out of that investment. So that's how she got started with us. But her, like I said, like, her ball busting mindset and the way that she executed our strategy for her, in my opinion, is really what got her those results. So let's talk about what she accomplished, and then I'll talk about how we did it. So like I said, once she signed on to the accelerator, she was really ready to kind of make some big moves. She was like, I'm ready to go all in. I don't care what it takes. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And within a week, she actually found like she could trace about $1,500 worth of sales back to her TikToks directly. And she was also getting bombarded with DMs and messages of like, can I ask you a question about your product? And like, I don't know which one is the best fit for me. So many inquiries, so much website traffic, so much sales that she hadn't been able to attribute really even to like her ads, which is so funny. And like I said, there's nothing better than seeing your strategy for somebody working. Like, if there's something that gets me out of bed every morning, it is that. It really is that. So then 3 weeks after she joined the accelerator, she had basically totaled about $40,000 in sales since starting with us. And like I said, that was all from organic content. Like, she could trace back what was paid and what was organic. And she actually got to the point where she almost like couldn't even keep up with the orders coming in. Like, if you've ever seen those videos on TikTok where it's like small businesses, as soon as they blow up, it's like all of the orders coming in off of the machine. She almost even couldn't like keep up with the orders that were coming in because of her content. And when she looked at the data, what we realized was that the split for sales that came from ads versus organic, 80% of her sales were coming from her organic strategy. And about 20% of them were coming from ads, which, like I said, is a massive, massive change. So what was so cool about that was when she was like, I can't afford to not make this investment, but this is really, like I said, like the last money that I have to invest. In 3 weeks, she had basically 10x'd her investment. 3 weeks. Like, that's absolutely insane. And so, like I said, like, the investment in the program didn't just like make her money. It also saved her money, and it drove up her profit margins because she actually dropped down the amount that she was investing into ads because organic was making her so much. And in the following weeks, she would basically constantly message us saying she was waking up at 8 a.m. in the morning and finding out she'd made her sales goals for the week in one day. She had to hire on people to help her because she couldn't keep up with the demand. Like, that's how I know we've marketed your product correctly or your service correctly. If you have to completely like change the infrastructure of your business because of how many orders you're getting or how many sales you're getting, I'm like, I did something fucking right. Like, that's how you know the strategy is working. So let's talk about kind of how we helped her and like what we did to get her there. Because like I said, she made in total in 6 months of working with us about $660,000 in sales, which if you think about that, let's do the math again, just for like shits and gigs, you know, 660,000 divided by 160, that's 4,125 kits that we sold for her, basically. If we're just doing like some basic math for a figure, that's a lot of product that we sold for her. So, like I said, her biggest issue was that she was getting the attention, she was getting the engagement, but the actual conversions for sales just weren't there for her. So the biggest thing that we did was when she started working with us, we started out with just auditing her current strategy. And then on top of that, we did some market research. So her current strategy was great. We decided she really wasn't like solution selling. So she was talking about the kit, but she wasn't talking about what it would do for people. And if you guys have heard me talk about this before, I've always said people are 9 times out of 10 more likely to invest in an actual solution or purchase a solution rather than invest or purchase in like a product or a service. So for her, she was basically saying like, hey, we have this skincare kit, but wasn't following it up with like, and by the way, if you're someone who wants your skin to look like this, or you want this outcome, or you're struggling with this, this is the perfect kit for you. So no one could really like justify spending $160 on a skincare kit that they didn't know what it was going to do for them. So she was getting the attention, she was getting the engagement. And so we also did some market research with her target audience to see like, what were they struggling with? What did they desire? How did her skincare kit solve those things or meet those needs? And also what they were taking into consideration when they thought about buying her kit. You guys have heard me talk obviously a lot about the fact that there are 4 different buyer types, and they all take different things into consideration when they are going to potentially purchase or invest. So for her, what we found was that her audience was very relational in how they bought. And so the biggest thing that we really focused on was her story, was showcasing what her skin looked like before, what her skin looked like after. Results was also really big for them. Another really big concern was that they had essentially purchased a lot of different skincare products. And they were promised the sun, moon, and the stars by these brands. Oh, your hyperpigmentation is going to be gone in 2 days, blah, 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 right? Her brand actually does that. It's so funny. We were actually talking about a before and after. She showed it to me the other day. And she goes, I literally don't feel like I can use this before and after because it happened in the span of 24 hours. 24 hours. And this person's hyperpigmentation is significantly decreased. Like the before and after photo is insane. She was like, I think people are going to think this is photoshopped, honestly. And so we talked about like a strategy for using it, but that's how good her product is, you know? So we did market research and really got clear on like what her target audience was taking into consideration when they were going to make a purchase or an investment. So we found results and relationships was super important for them. And so as soon as we were solution selling, those are the things that we kind of incorporated into her content to really make sure that we were kind of checking every box for them as they were binging her content. The other thing that also told us was, you know, they wanted to see her expertise and her authority, because their slogan, or like the thing that they've kind of come up with to encompass their brand, is like, skincare is so good we couldn't buy it, so we made it. And I love that, obviously. And so they wanted to see her authority and her expertise, and how she came up with this skincare brand. And so those are all things that we incorporated as well into her content, was her level of knowledge in this industry and the ingredients that she used and the process that they went through to create this product, because I think it really spoke to like how thoroughly they made their process to create this product, because I think that was really important as well. So as soon as she started kind of implementing that into her strategy, we saw, like I said, a pretty massive shift. And it just speaks to, if you know what to say to your audience and you have a really warm audience, how quickly things can turn around when it comes to sales. Because like I said, within that first 3 weeks, she went from 15K in sales to 40K in sales every month. And then 60, 100, 120, 140, 160, I think. So you guys don't understand, like, you can make sales very quickly if you know what to say to your audience. So I think it's incredibly important to note that. But I think the reason why she got such great results is threefold. Number one, we were really clear on diagnosing like what her issue was. Because she didn't really know. She came to us and she was like, all I know is I'm not seeing sales and I don't know why. She didn't know how to look at her data to figure out why that was happening or why the sales weren't happening. So we figured out what her issue was. Then we were really good at reading her audience. We were really good at getting them to tell us what they needed to hear in order for them to buy her skincare product. And then from there, like I said, she is a killer implementer, like best in her class, honestly. Gold star student for sure. And so I think that her mindset of like, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to make this happen, is something that got her really, really far. And I talk all the time about how in order to create really effortless sales, you need to have a really clear picture. I talk all the time about how in order to create really effortless sales, there's three things, well, a lot more things that you need, but you need to figure out where your audience is at. You need to be able to sell to them in a way that makes sense to them. And then you also need to listen to them, but you also need to have a really killer mindset and really great energy when you are selling, because all of those things are necessary in order to create really effortless sales. And the funny part is, like, she could have continued testing content and paying out the ass for ads, honestly. And meanwhile, there was a really simple solution, rather, like, waiting for her. And so now what's really cool is, like, she has her marketing and sales dialed in. Like, we just had a conversation the other day, and there's really not a lot that we're going to be changing with her marketing and her sales, because now that she knows what converts her audience, it's just a numbers game. So that was something that we're doing. And then there's other stuff that we're doing to work on scaling her company and her revenue. Because now it's not just about marketing and sales. So like I said, the really cool part is that she hit 170K per month in sales in the 6th month of her working with us in the accelerator. But overall, I'm pretty sure she made about 660K in sales in total in those 6 months of working with us, which is just so wild. And like I said, I'm just so incredibly excited for this client. But I want to just talk really briefly about a couple of takeaways, because I think that there's a lot that you can learn from this if you haven't already, and apply this obviously to your own strategy. So like I said, she's in consulting with us now. She's working one-on-one with me, and we're scaling her company in terms of team and in terms of sales and automations and things like that, so that she can create more sales with less effort. So that's something that we're working on. But I think the key takeaway is that, like, this is proof that understanding the buyer types in your audience is not something, in my opinion, that's optional. I think it is one of, if not the most crucial parts of marketing, is to understand exactly what your audience needs to hear to buy and how they buy. Because literally the second we started to shift that in her content is when she started to see really effortless sales happening. And the other thing I also want to mention is, primarily for product-based businesses, we did not just share the features of her product. We did not just say, these are the ingredients and this is the size and this is everything you get in the kit. We really dove into the benefits. We talked about her audience's problems and what they were struggling with and what they wanted out of a skincare brand, and how her kit got them there, how it got them the results they were looking for. So I just want you guys to remember that, because I think a lot of people have a hard time thinking about this if they don't consider their product like a quote unquote necessity. It doesn't matter what product you sell. There are still wants and desires that your audience has out of a product like yours, and it's your job to identify what those are and showcase how that's your product. They don't just want, like, the features, they want the result from your product. And yes, like I said, every single product has some sort of result or transformation that it creates for its customers. So I know this was kind of like a short and sweet episode, but hopefully this did two things for you. Number one, hopefully this gave you some ideas of things that you could try in your own marketing strategy to create results like this. And I'm also hoping that this shows you how important it is to invest in support and have the right mindset when you are marketing and selling, and to just really become an excuse eliminator, because that's the thing that's going to get you to where you want to go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. And if you have any questions about marketing or sales and you want them answered, we're doing lives on every Monday where I answer questions, and like a little Ask Me Anything anonymous every Tuesday. So you can get your free marketing and sales advice. So come on over to Instagram, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.